Today is January 28th. Man, we are getting right through this month. It's going by fast. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic, and it is a thrill and a joy and an honor to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today we're going to be reading, finishing up Chapter 7, Working with Others, pages 101 through 103. We'll also be beginning Chapter 8, Two Wives, page 104 and 105. We'll also be finishing up Chapter 4, Step 4 of the 12 and 12, pages 53 and 54. So, with all that, let's get to the good stuff. Page 101 of the Big Book, halfway down. In our belief, any scheme of combating alcoholism which proposes to shield the sick man from temptation is doomed to failure. If the alcoholic tries to shield himself, he may succeed for a time, but he usually winds up with a bigger explosion than ever. We've tried these methods. These attempts to do the impossible have always failed. So our rule is not to avoid a place where there's drinking if we have a legitimate reason for being there. That includes bars, nightclubs, dances, receptions, weddings, even plain ordinary whoopee parties. To a person who has had experience with an alcoholic, this may seem like tempting providence, but it isn't. You will note that we have made an important qualification. Therefore, ask yourself on each occasion, have I any good social, business, or personal reason for going to this place? Or am I expecting to steal a little vicarious pleasure from the atmosphere of such places? If you answer these questions satisfactorily, you need to have no apprehension. Go or stay away, whichever seems best. But be sure that you are on solid spiritual ground before you start, and that your motive in going is thoroughly good. Do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. Think of what you can bring to it. But if you are shaky, you better work with another alcoholic instead. Why sit with a long face in places where there is drinking, sighing about the good old days? If it is a happy occasion, try to increase the pleasure of those there. If a business occasion, go and attend your business enthusiastically. If you are with a person who wants to eat in a bar, by all means go along. Let your friends know that they are not to change their habits on your account. At a proper time and place, explain to all your friends why alcohol disagrees with you. If you do this thoroughly, few people will ask you to drink. While you are drinking, you are withdrawing from life little by little. Now you're getting back into the social life of this world. Don't start to withdraw again just because your friends drink liquor. Your job now is to be at the place where you may be of maximum helpfulness to others. So never hesitate to go anywhere if you could be helpful. You should not hesitate to visit the most sordid spot on earth on such an errand. Keep on the firing line of life with these motives, and God will keep you unharmed. Many of us keep liquor in our homes. We often need it to carry green recruits through the severe hangovers. Some of us still serve it to our friends, provided they're not alcoholic. But some of us think that we should not serve liquor to anyone. We never argue this question. We feel that each family, in the light of their own circumstances, ought to decide for themselves. We are careful never to show intolerance or hatred of drinking as an institution. Experience shows that such an attitude is not helpful to anyone. Every new alcoholic looks for the spirit among us and is immensely relieved when he finds that we are not witch burners. A spirit of intolerance might repel alcoholics whose lives could have been saved had it not been for such stupidity. We would not even do the cause of temperate drinking any good, for not one drinker in 1,000 likes to be told anything about alcohol by one who hates it. Someday, we hope that Alcoholics Anonymous will help the public to a better realization of the gravity of the alcoholic problem. But we shall be of little use if our attitude is one of bitterness or hostility. Drinkers will not stand for it. After all, our problems were of our own making. Bottles were only a symbol. Besides, we have stopped fighting anybody or anything. We have to. Okay, guys, that concludes Working with Others. We're going to jump right into Chapter 8, Two Wives, page 104. With few exceptions, our book thus far has spoken of men, but what we have said applies quite as much to women. Our activities in behalf of women who drink are on the increase. There is every evidence that women regain their health as readily as men if they try our suggestions. But for every man who drinks, others are involved. The wife who trembles in fear of the next debauch. The mother and father who see their son wasting away. Among us are wives, relatives, friends whose problem has been solved, as well as some who've not yet found a happy solution. We want the wives of Alcoholics Anonymous to address the wives of the men who drink too much. What they say will apply to nearly everyone bound by ties of blood or affection to an alcoholic. As wives of Alcoholics Anonymous, we would like you to feel that we understand as perhaps few can. We want to analyze mistakes that we have made. We want to leave you with the feeling that no situation is too difficult and no unhappiness too great to be overcome. We have traveled a rocky road. There is no mistake about that. We have had long rendezvous with hurt pride, frustration, self-pity, misunderstanding, and fear. These are not pleasant companions. We've been driven to a maudlin sympathy, to bitter resentment. Some of us veered from extreme to extreme, ever hoping that one day our loved ones will be themselves once more. Our loyalty and the desire that our husbands hold up their heads and be like other men have begotten all sorts of predicaments. We have been unselfish and self-sacrificing. We have told innumerable lies to protect our pride and our husbands' reputations. We have prayed. We have begged. We've been patient. We have struck out viciously. We've run away. We have been hysterical. We have been terror-stricken. We have sought sympathy. We have had retaliatory love affairs with other men. Our homes have been battlegrounds many an evening. In the mornings, we have kissed and made up. Our friends have counseled chucking the men, and we have done so with finality, only to be back in a little while, hoping, always hoping. Our men have sworn great solemn oaths that they were through drinking forever. We believed them when no one else could or would. Then, in days, weeks, or months, a fresh outburst. We seldom had friends at our homes, never knowing how or when the men of the house would appear. We could make few social engagements. We came to live almost alone. When we were invited out, our husbands sneaked so many drinks that they spoiled the occasion. If, on the other hand, they took nothing, their self-pity made them killjoys. All right, on that very sad note, we'll stop there on bottom of 105, and we'll jump into the 12 and 12. All right, guys, we are wrapping up step 4. This is page 53, last paragraph. Some will object to many of the questions posed because they think that their own character defects have not been so glaring. To these, it can be suggested that a conscious examination is likely to reveal the very defects the objectionable questions are concerned with. Because our service record hasn't looked too bad, we have frequently been abashed to find that this is so simple, because we have buried these self-same defects deep down in us under thick layers of self-justification. Whatever the defects, they have finally ambushed us into alcoholism and misery. Therefore, thoroughness ought to be the watchword when taking inventory. In this connection, it is wise to write out our questions and answers. It will be an aid to clear thinking and honest appraisal. It will be the first tangible evidence of our complete willingness to move forward. All right, that concludes our reading today, guys. While this is fresh, boy, that is the truth. Self-justification. How many times have I tried to justify my drinking? Well, I'm not hurting anybody. Well, it's just a couple of drinks. I'll be fine. I deserve this. I could go on and on. Of course, with working with others, I always love the words of wisdom on 102. Be sure that you're on solid spiritual ground before you start, and that your motive in going is thoroughly good. I remember early on, some friends had told me that, and at first I probably wasn't. So I did avoid certain places, especially early on. But thankfully, these steps had helped me personally to get a much, much stronger relationship with my higher power. And I no longer fear going to these places or anything like that. And I love also, it says here, while you were drinking, you were withdrawing from life little by little. Now you're getting back into the social life of this world. And then, 103 is it's definitely been the truth in my life. After all, our problems were of our own making. Bottles were only a symbol. Besides, we have stopped fighting anybody or anything. That's the truth. These problems were my own. I can't blame anybody else. A lot of that self-justification, I was blaming others, and that's why I drank. I drank at them. So it's pretty interesting. And then, of course, chapter 8, just hearing the heartbreak of what the wives have been through. And I guess husbands of the fellowship at the time, I'm sure too, or anybody that was closely knit with an alcoholic. Just like it said a few pages ago, an alcoholic is a tornado destroying everything in its path. We think, it only affects us, but oh man, it certainly doesn't. I think about my own wife and what I put her through, and reading this, it definitely makes me think of her, and certainly makes me appreciate that I still have her today. And I'm trying to make those living amends now. So many things. This book is just a beautiful reminder of the miracle of sobriety. And I'm just so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful that you guys decided to join me today in this lifeboat of recovery. It is a thrill and an honor to be here. And I cannot wait to see you back here tomorrow.